So barriers for autistic people getting jobs in general can be a number of things. So they could be something as simple as the first stage of writing out a form. A lot of autistic people can think quite literally. So if the form's not specific, they may struggle with the answers. Or again, they may give too much information, which is a bit overwhelming for the person who has to go through 100 applications.
So when a website has an application form that you have to strip down your CV that you've already written, that you've put it in how you want it to look, and then it asks you to strip it down again and put it in a different format. And it can be really overwhelming when you've already been applying for loads of different jobs, and then this is a job that you really want, but the application page seems so daunting when you look at it.
Even the next stage of the process, if they get through the first part of the interviews, can be quite difficult for autistic people, especially if they haven't revealed to the interviewer that they're autistic. So it can be a number of things. Some people struggle with eye contact, and if you're one of the people that does struggle with that and the interviewer doesn't know that, it can come across as you being maybe disinterested or not paying attention or even quite rude sometimes. All sorts of things such as maintaining a conversation and to and fro in a conversation can often be quite difficult for autistic people.
You've got, well, is it going to be a panel interview? Is it going to be an informal chat? What do I wear to it? Well, what's smart casual when I have to turn up to the interview in smart casual clothes? What does that mean? And sometimes it can feel a little bit as though if you're going to ask those questions to your potential employer, are they going to think that you're stupid for asking those? Are you supposed to just know it? And I've had it where even just getting to the first day and realising, oh, I'm not dressed like anybody else here. This is already singling me out as someone who doesn't quite get social etiquette.
My difficulty with employment situations has always been actually the interview stage. I've never had a problem doing any of the jobs I've ever done in my life, and I've created jobs for myself because no one's given me jobs. So in terms of performance, once I'm in doing something, I've done all sorts of things, and I've done all sorts of things to great success at times.
Route into getting employment is designed for the average person, not for the person that necessarily is going to be really good at that job, because they are going to struggle with that average person interview.
If you add in the fact that autism is a social communication disorder, I hesitate to use the word disorder all the time, but it does affect social communication. When that's considered, I never quite know whether to disclose it in an interview and whether that will help or hinder me, or should I even be thinking about whether it'll help or hinder me. It's tricky.
So one of the barriers to getting a job can be disclosure, and that's difficult because it's sometimes complicated for people to know whether they should disclose, who they should disclose to, when they should disclose, and how they should disclose. And these are difficult decisions for anyone to make, especially when it's something very personal to you and when the stakes are so high in terms of getting a job.
There's been a couple of occasions where I've noticed it's a barrier disclosing that I'm autistic in getting a job. One quick example was a job that I applied for that I was more or less overqualified for, but I'd put on the form that I was autistic, and I never heard anything back, which I was quite surprised at because I had this disability tick, which I took advantage of to get an interview, and I didn't get an interview. And I hoped it wasn't what I feared, and I really didn't think it would be, but I thought when the job was re-advertised a few months later of applying again, and exactly the same thing but not putting that I was autistic, and I got offered an interview. So just the fact that the knowledge of the person looking at the applicants can be a barrier, because there's so much misinformation that they could be going by stereotypes, and that was a barrier personally for me. But I'll always disclose it. Me personally, I'll always disclose it. I wouldn't want to work for somebody who would see it as a barrier to employment.
So disclosure can also be a pathway to success in the workplace, because it's only by disclosing that it opens up that dialogue about what adjustments might make someone be successful in that place. It's only by being able to disclose that, we're able to think about the different accommodations that they might need. So it's both a barrier in some respects and sometimes, but also a pathway to someone having a really positive experience in the workplace.